Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the OPFS podcast. In today's episode, I'll be talking to single parent Carolyn Sampson about caring for her 4-year-old son who has additional support needs. Would you like to start by introducing yourself, Carolyn?
Sure. My name is Carolyn. I am a lone parent to a little boy, Robbie, who is 4.5 years old. Robbie is likely to be high functioning autism, and he also has sensory processing disorder, which adds another layer to parenting. We live in Edinburgh and we have a very large dog, Chico, who keeps us fit and healthy.
Lovely. And can you tell me a little bit about how you came into contact with One Parent Family Scotland?
Yeah, I'm actually part of the Lothian Single Parents Facebook group, and just through a discussion, it was highlighted on there that One Parent Family Scotland is a really good kind of resource for single parents. So I went on the website and had a wee look around. Through further discussion with a friend who worked previously for One Parent Family Scotland, she was able to advise me that I may be able to get some help getting a laptop because my laptop had broken and I was trying to do Zoom meetings and MS Teams meetings through my phone, which if anybody's ever tried to do that, is really not a fun experience. You can't actually kind of see anybody, and it was really difficult. I was doing kind of interactive parenting classes, and just being able to see myself on screen was really quite distressing. So it was wonderful to be able to get the help to get a laptop and to be able to connect again. And I think on that note as well, one of the advantages that COVID has brought is that, especially for single parents or lone parents where it may be difficult to physically get somewhere just with time constraints, you can now join meetings online. So quite often, you know, they're both meeting in person and they've got an online system going as well, which is great, and I feel has actually helped me become more inclusive in quite a lot of things.
That's really good news. I'm glad that that's been a help to you.
Okay, yeah. Keep saying, what do you mean? What's the catch? what do you mean?
No catch at all.
Well, what about you? When's the man coming to the door to class for it back? But no, it's been amazing. So yeah.
So you're saying it's enabled you to join parenting support groups, and what else? Is there anything else that you've used your laptop for, or you think you might be using your laptop for?
Yeah, I mean, I did apply for a job recently. Just again, I've become, I suppose, quite isolated during COVID, and also with the additional needs that Robbie has. Again, I'm quite drained a lot of the time, and actually I have fibromyalgia myself, so I've got to be a bit careful with my energy levels. Mm-hmm. But no, I did apply for a role which was going to be 8 hours a week, but it ended up she wanted me to do kind of 2 hours a day over 5 days, and I was like, that's not really going to work for me. So,
so employment is an issue for you at the moment, then, and that you're saying that's partly because of needing to tend to your son, but also it's because of your own health condition.
Yeah, I mean, prior to having Robbie, I'd always worked full time, so I managed my health condition. One of the biggest triggers for fibromyalgia, which is a musculoskeletal condition, is stress. And when you have a child who is not in control of their own emotions or actions a lot of the time, obviously the stress factors are quite large. His sense of his danger perception, for example, is non-existent. So because he can do something, he thinks it's okay to do, like cut up a cucumber with a carving knife.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So again, you're just kind of you've got to have eyes on him at all times, mm-hmm. which is stressful. And I think having applied for this job, I would need to look at something that reflects the term time, because just with Robbie's additional needs, childcare would be a big issue. I had spoken to somebody that runs the after school club, and they were like, because he is going to need almost one-on-one supervision, it's unlikely we'll be able to offer him any sort of a place. So that was a bit of a reality check for me.
So is he in childcare at the moment then, Carolyn?
He's in full-time nursery. So he gets the 1140 hours. He's actually in it's a private nursery that offers funded hours, and he's been going there since he was 2.5. So he was on the eligible twos program, and then the eligible threes, and then obviously they now get all the childcare for preschool.
Right. Okay. That must be a big help for you. Must be a big help for you in terms of managing your own health condition and I suppose giving yourself a break as a single parent.
Yeah, it's been absolutely massive. I think what it has allowed me to do is to focus on getting the extra support in place. It was hugely challenging through COVID because we didn't have a lot of the support available. So the ASL team, the occupational therapy team, nothing was happening. So there was no visits, there was no assessments. The child paediatrician, again, so everything has backlogged. So he's now got ASL support in place, which will continue to school. He's now being seen by occupational therapy because the sensory processing is so extreme. But again, it was a very, very stressful 2 years where you're trying to, I'm not an expert in child behaviours. I didn't know what was wrong with my child. I didn't know why everything had to go in his mouth. I didn't know why he was getting so wired that he was uncontrollable. And there was no help available because you couldn't see anybody. And that, I think, was very stressful. And during lockdown, I did actually move in with my parents because it was, it was a lot to cope with on my own.
Yeah, I can imagine. So in terms of your wider support network, who have you got to sort of help you take the strain?
I have my parents who are both in their 70s. My dad's fairly fit and healthy and, seems to think he's still a young buck, which is great. So he likes to chase after Robbie and take him swimming and things. My mum has quite bad back issues. She's got osteoporosis of the spine. So she's got to be really careful in terms of, if Robbie runs off, she can't chase after him and catch him. And that's one of so again, my mum can't really be alone with Robbie because when you say stop, he will not stop, he'll keep running. And that's again just part of I suppose the issues of the conditions he has.
Yeah, I understand. What do you find you can do to help you to sort of de-stress from these sorts of situations? What do you do?
Well, sit in a darkened room by the time he goes to bed, generally, with not a lot on. No, I mean, I think it's easier now. He's beginning to emotionally mature a bit more. He loves riding his bike, and we've now established very clear parameters. So actually going out with Robbie and the dog on the bike can actually be quite relaxing, which is good. And I think just having the awareness of what overstimulates Robbie and what his triggers are has really helped as well. So being able to manage his behaviours, and I would have to say the childcare that I get, is huge because it allows me during the day to kind of get things done, to have a bit of time for me, to be able to be involved in things like focus groups
and you're saying that's funded childcare.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he's obviously at his nursery, so he's actually at nursery 5 days a week from 8:45 until his funded hours run till 2:45. So I actually pay wraparound, which is $5.50, which takes it to 4:00, which gives him a much better day. And that was partly on the advice of the ASL team, because they feel that having longer days at nursery is going to help him transition to school, where he's got kind of longer days and he'll be more mentally ready because he's kind of, he won't be as tired. And when he gets tired, that's when his behaviours act out. So. In
the current context, I suppose things are getting particularly difficult for parents at the moment. We're all looking at rising costs in terms of food, energy bills, etc.
That's-
How is that sort of impacting you at the moment?
I would say the term heat or eat is quite prevalent in this house. So am I going to heat the house or am I going to eat? The budget for food, my cost, my weekly shop has basically almost doubled. Because of Robbie's issues, I need to take him in the car a lot of places because getting from A to B is actually quite dangerous, and it also takes about 3 times as long as any normal child. So I have to use the car to get him to nursery. My petrol costs have doubled, and I've just got my gas and electricity bill through.
And so the gas and electricity bill, I'm guessing, even though you knew from all the media coverage that it was going to rise, were you surprised as to exactly how much it had gone up?
Yes. I mean, it has doubled. It's actually more than doubled. So I was paying £106 a month for my gas and electricity, and it is now 232, which in a month, you know, when your expenditure, I mean, I probably had about 12 to 14 pounds kind of free cash each month, dependent on, you know, what expenses had come up. So to try and find that kind of money was massive. I'm on universal credit, so not only did we lose the £100 which we'd been given during COVID, despite the cost of living and everything rising, so you're £100 short already. Now your gas and electricity costs are that much higher. Like, yeah, I've got no idea how they expect people to live, and all that's going to be happening is people are going to be pushed further and further into debt. My biggest fear is if I can't find the money, they're then going to put me on a pay-as-you-go meter, which then puts you up to the very highest cost of gas and electricity. So, you know, every which way you look at it, they're penalising those who don't have a lot of expendable income. And it's not because I don't want to work. I do want to work. But again, if I don't have childcare, what do you do? So it's a hugely stressful time. And there just doesn't seem to be any help or advice as to what the solution is going to be. You know, the government are saying, okay, we'll create this group, we'll create that group. Yeah, great. In the meantime, each month that goes by, your bill is going up and up and up, and you just don't have the money to cover it.
So what sort of sacrifices does that mean you making on a day-to-day basis? I mean, you're talking about heat or eat, I'm assuming.
Well, it's food for me. Robbie, it's vital that I obviously keep him eating, one, because he's a child and he needs to eat. But yeah, for me, pasta has become a staple, and it's one of the worst things that I can eat for my fibro because the carbs don't react well for me. But again, you've just got to look at what's going to fill you up. And, you know, plain pasta or pasta with a tomato sauce through it is very cheap. Cereal is another one. But again, it's just, you know, I look at what my shopping used to be, and there was a lot of fresh fruit, veg, salad, you know, probably more white meat than anything else, so chicken, turkey. And now I really I'm very, very conscious about what I'm buying, what I'm spending. I used to shop between Lidl and Morrison's. I now only shop at Lidl. It's just in terms of what you get for your money. It's the most cost-effective way.
And do you think Robbie's noticed any difference in terms of what's, you know, the change in diet, or any changes that have happened, or sacrifices that you've had to make as a result of the cost of living crisis?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we used to sit and eat together, and we'd eat the same thing. So again, part of the sensory processing is Robbie doesn't feel hungry or he doesn't feel tired. So again, mirroring behaviors so he can see that we're both eating together, we're both eating the same thing. And now he's asking, why am I not eating? Where's my food?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I not eating the same as him?
Mm-hmm.
Why he'll just eat cereal. So it's tough because you don't want to burden your child with the fact that actually it's due to money.
Mm-hmm.
Mum it's coming towards the end of the month, and actually mummy can't afford as much food. And it's a very harsh reality. And I think my frustration is that nobody seems to be listening.
And what sort of things have you done to try to get the support that you need? Have you spoken to health professionals? Have you tried to get in touch with any other agencies?
I did speak to my health visitor. I have applied for child disability payment because I spoke to Kindred. No, it wasn't, it was Parent Line, sorry, I beg your pardon. Parent Line, and Parent Line did a benefit check, because again, I was really, really panicking. And unbeknown to me, I could apply for child disability payment, so I'm waiting to hear about that. But not everybody has that option.
No.
And certainly, there isn't a lot out there. You can go for, there's community care grants, and there's other things, but they're kind of one-off payments, and that doesn't help when each month it's a shortfall in the cost of living. The money that's coming in isn't enough to cover what's going out. And
absolutely,
I think the biggest thing is the gas and electricity. And especially when you have a child, you can't be turning your heating off. And I don't get me wrong, I have turned my heating down. And we now have blankets on all the beds. We have blankets on the sofas to cuddle under. And I've tried to make it a game. We get all cozy and we build a nest for ourselves, which he's taken to wearing his dressing gown over his clothes. He's also got kind of onesies, warm onesies, which he puts over his clothes. And it's fine at the moment in the sense that it's not as cold as it has been. And obviously we're coming out of needing to have the heating on a lot, but I'm still going to have to be paying every month to cover the cost for the whole year. So yeah, no, it's scary.
What would take the pressure off?
I think the government needs to look at the universal credit payments and the cost of living and what people are actually paying to live, and they need to increase the amount that is going out, or they need to do something radical with the rising energy costs to try and help people, because it's not just people on benefits that are struggling, it's people that are working. Most people don't have a lot of expendable income, and for prices to double on just about everything across the board, like, what are the government doing? They're not helping anybody. Is my feeling, and that's people on low income, on benefits. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Do you get support from being in a kind of peer group of parents or friends around you? Are you able to get some sort of support or help or people to talk to?
I think it's been quite difficult through COVID. Robbie's behaviours also exclude him from a lot. So I think one of the things that we've found most challenging is we actually moved house. We moved in January 2021, and there's several kids on the street. But Robbie's behaviours, he gets quite wired and quite overstimulated, and they can't really handle it. So they would prefer kind of not to be around him. So because of that, I suppose
so that's quite isolating for you then, I'm guessing.
Massively. And it's it's stressful. because you can explain behaviors, but again, these are kids, and they're not really understanding. They just think he's being naughty, and not understanding it's just the way his brain processes things. I don't know. I try not to think of it as a sign of things to come, because I also know that he does have, friends who are probably more similar to him. He is very rambunctious. He is very excitable. He will talk the hind legs off a donkey. But he does have little friends that he plays with very nicely. One of whose, granny lives on the street, which is great. And next to my mum and dad, there's another little boy that he plays perfectly with. So I think it's it's finding, I suppose, the right groups. And I think with COVID, it's not, it's been very limited as to who you can play with, where you can play, when you can play. So I think now that things are beginning to open up, I'm hoping that there'll be a bit of a change and he'll become more familiar with playing and how other children play out with a very kind of controlled environment like nursery.
Yeah, understand. Yeah. What would you say? I mean, are there any advantages to being a single parent? Just the two of you feel?
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Robbie's dad made it very clear when I was pregnant that he didn't want anything to do with him. So that, as far as I was concerned, fine. It means that I have full autonomy to make decisions on Robbie's behalf. I don't have the kind of the angst of splitting holidays. I'm there for all his firsts, which is incredible. I think we also have a much closer bond. He's very, very loving. And yeah.
If you could change something right to the government, what would you tell them? What would be your sort of central message?
I don't think in this day and age that any person should be having to ask themselves the question, am I going to heat or am I going to eat? And I think that is something they have to look at very, very quickly. And, as I say, it's affecting the whole spectrum of people. Parents, single people, couples, low income. Words fail me, to be honest.
Thank you, Carolyn, for sharing your story. For more episodes, please subscribe to our podcast. Thank you for listening.